Linden Boulevard, represent, Tribe Called Quest, represent. When the mic is in my hand, I'm never hesitant. My favorite jam back in the day was Eric B for president.
tell you, this is the story. When I went to Clinton, right? Like I said, Clinton was a whole boy. So Clinton also had, there was a girls' school down the block called Walton, right? There was Clinton. These are the three schools that was there. There was Clinton on Mashula Parkway. Then there was Walton on Bedford Park. And then right next to Clinton, it was Bronx High School of Science. It was like a brainiac. Like, you had to be smart to go there. You know what I'm saying? So, because there was no girls in our school, we used to go to Walton. And then when it wasn't nothing happening at Walton, we used to go to Taft. And Taft was like around the way. You know what I'm saying? Reddenham was from Harlem. But Taft, for like the Bronx people, that's where like all the chicks was, the young hustlers. Dudes would be like 14 years old, pulling up in 98s and caddies and Lincolns, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of parties used to go on over at Taft because nobody really graduated from there. They just had an ill basketball team, and niggas used to give the wild parties. And Kool Herc used to be the party, the dude that give the parties. And they used to give parties like on Undercliff Road. And Undercliff Road is not far from Bronx River. You heard KRS talk about that in his records before. And when you go to Bronx River, you play a little ball, and then you got Kool Herc in there right after that joint having a party. And Kool Herc on Undercliff, it was a basement. They used to have graffiti on the walls, a strobe light, and they used to be playing your favorite shit, breaks like a motherfucker. But still, back then, I didn't see the real relationship with hip hop. I really known a motherfucker to rap, where 2 stages in my life where I felt like I seen rap start. Like, I used to hang out with my cousins and them when I was like 9, 7, all of that shit. I know it's kind of young. And they used to do like parties and shit like that. And there used to be this dude named Bill Duncan. And this nigga used to get on the mic and rock
Bill
the crowd.
Duncan.
Yo, money. This nigga used to warm it up. I'm telling you right now. And then, like I said, Hollywood, at Harlem World, he used to come to Hibbity, the Hibbity, and then later on, you had like Eddie Chiba, Curtis Blow, and then rap started becoming like, it still wasn't blah, but it was blah, blah, blah. You feel me? And it really started stirring it up, I think around 79, because you had Rapper's Delight, and you had Super Rhymes. I'm not saying it came out in that order, but then you had Curtis Blow, The Break. So one thing I think that distinguished Curtis from the rest of them was that he was on a major label, and he had people that was insiders in the industry. They were writers, Robert Ford and J.B. Moore. So, I mean, it was a perfect, and then Russell in the mix, you know what I'm saying? So, I think he had a bigger step on them, but because that was an indie label, Sylvia and them, they wasn't going out like that. You know what I'm saying? They had their own musicians, they had their own, they just had their own staff. You know what I'm saying? And they came out with groups that are Hall of Famers, Sugar Hill Gang, Grandmaster Flash. You know, the message changed the game, but those was just a couple of things, you know, because...
So, in between, while that was evolving, you was fucking with the graffiti shit.
I wasn't really doing the hip hop thing during the graffiti. See, this is how it went for me. After I did the graffiti thing, most of the people around where I lived at was getting money now. Things had changed. You know, niggas wasn't trying to go steal a can of spray paint. Motherfuckers was trying to buy the spray paint store. You know what I'm saying? And I started seeing dudes around my way, you know what I'm saying, like 14, 15 years old. There was one dude in particular, his name was John. Chill with the music. I want to just go on this. He was like, John was 14. John had British Walkers in every color. John had a coat every day for the whole month and the year. You know what I'm saying? Your man had the glasses. He was just, that was my role model. You know what I'm saying? Still to this day, you know what I'm saying? When I'm putting something together or whatever, I say, yo, what if John had rocked it like that? He was like the king. And I seen like John getting money. These dudes was wearing like velour hats, playing the hose. I mean, and their pockets was crowded. They had, like the Mac said, and this is real talk, they had bankrolls that would choke a dinosaur. That's how big and long these niggas' money was. So, I mean, look, when I was doing graffiti, man, I was catching cases. These motherfuckers was talking about locking me up, put me in Spofford. So I was like, hey, if I'm gonna hold some bricks, I might as well get some money. So I started being downtown. That's what they call it, downtown, from maybe like 119th Street to 110th, right? From wall to wall, from the east side all the way to Manhattan Avenue. Niggas was moving the crowd. In each of those blocks, motherfuckers was getting $1 million a week. So if you was in the mix, you know what I'm saying, and you had a steady and you knew what you was doing, even if you wasn't a lieutenant, if you was a regular cat, you could have went out there and made $1,000 a day easy. And you could have made some side money because the weight was so deep and the shit was so pure that you could have shaved the motherfucker off and then came back and still had something on the side for yourself, plus with the money you was getting on the PC on the regular joint. And I fucked with that for a minute, and it was getting kind of dangerous. And my mom and them was really just concerned with my health, so the motherfuckers just broke out, and that's when we moved to Queens. And we moved to Queens. You know, I'm doing the suburban thing now. You know what I'm saying? I'm on the block. I'm playing ball, and I met David Reeves. You know what I'm saying?
For those who don't know, who the hell is Davey D?
Yeah, David Reeves. Dave lived up the block from me, and me and Dave played ball. But Dave always was a musician. As long as I known Dave, he used to play the bass, the drums, the keyboard, everything. The only thing I've never seen him play was a string, as far as a violin or a horn. You know, and knowing that motherfucker, he might play that shit. He on the road now with PE. But
that's what's up.
Yeah, that was my man. You know what I'm saying? And like, I was always a funny dude, and as a musician, I'm a percussion player. A lot of people don't know that. When you see an artist, generally that cat, he does more than one thing. That might not even be his main or her main art that you see them getting paid for or they're getting the notoriety for. But most artists do like several things. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, I started hanging with Dave, and Dave had a cousin named Ronnie. And he had another cousin named Roger in the Bronx, and he used to go to spend the night because he had a big family. They was real tight, and Ronnie had a DJ set, and then this nigga started going to the Bronx and listening to Flash and all that, and then bringing that shit back to Queens. And around 77, this nigga was just, I mean, cutting it up. Like Joe said in the Sucker MCs, Dave cut the record down to the bone. I mean, this nigga was like slice and dice, Ginsu, baby. And you know, we had a relationship on and on, off and on. I mean, being real tight because we lived up the block. But I really didn't see this thing until 1979, where he got the job as the DJ for Curtis Blow.
Jeez.
And this dude started buying equipment, and he started just creating shit. I mean, I was there for a lot of your classic hip-hop songs when they was just being created, being born, like Dollar Bill, y'all. It takes money to buy a TV set. It takes money. Dollar Bill, y'all. That's him and Larry did that.
Damn.
I was there when.
Is that shit Mano used for Hard Hater? Doom, doom, doom.
Yeah.
Wow.
Problems of the World today. Fat Boys, Hardcore Reggae, You're in Jail.
Get the fuck out of here.
Run's House, Beats to the Rhyme.
Hold up, you was around when he made Beats to the Rhyme?
Beats to the Rhyme. I was there when he did the Stephanie Mills, Ain't Nothing Changed. In fact, that was one of my catchphrases I used to say. Because I'm a nigga that started a lot of trends. I started trends as far as hair. The shades is me. Anytime you see a nigga, and I'm not being arrogant or speaking on from an ego place, I'm just keeping it 100. You know what I'm saying? And every time you see a nigga wearing the shades, that shit is from me. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't mine originally, but I really highlighted it in my work. You know what I'm saying? For many videos and for a long time. Even when I do comedy to this day, I wear glasses. My glasses are a prescription. I can't see past the motherfucking shit, but the shit looks good. And I've been doing the motherfuckers since I've been 14, been wearing shades. You know, and that's a whole nother story. Like, again, when I was in Harlem with the young hustlers, niggas used to wear shades. There was a nigga named Bubble Blind. Bubble Blind used to wear your fit. In fact, in 1975, 74, I ain't dating myself, but Bubble Blind, both of those years, had the best shades ever. And what made it slick for him is that nigga be eating some chicken and the shades would be slipping down and the nigga put it up and it was a motherfucker. I'm telling you, I'm a fan of a ill pair eyewear. That's my shit. You know what I'm saying? So
that nigga said Bubble Blind.
When I came in, you know, my confidence wasn't up to do the stand-up. But, you know, back in the 80s, man, niggas was getting hot. Everybody. I don't give a fuck who it was. You know, they had it was like a rush with the cocaine, the way the motherfucker came in, and it just bombarded it. I'm not talking about crack. I'm talking about when motherfuckers first started doing powder. Niggas with money did powder. It's like any motherfucker wasn't getting skied up. And it affected everything to this day because you got crack babies, you know what I'm saying? The motherfucker under 39, hey, you know, mama or daddy was smoking and you can't stay still for 5 minutes, you might be a crack baby. And the motherfucker, you know, niggas was getting fucked up. You know what I'm saying? I was fucked up. Everybody's fucked up at that time. So, and I ain't gonna name names because it ain't right for me to put niggas' business out
We
there.
don't do that.
I'm just telling you something that's relative, and that's the only reason I'm saying it. But me and Dave used to get charged the fuck up. I mean, it was nights where we couldn't even feel our faces. I mean, it'd just be dribble like, and we got to a point where niggas just got tired of that shit, and we were like each other's anchor, and got a deal. Got to deal with Def Jam. I mean, he had a deal before with Tough City, but the dude was like robbing them blind. That was when he made that 1 for the trouble, 2 for the bass. Come on, Davey D, let's rock this place. I'm gonna tell you something too. Dave is an ill ball player. Like when me and Dave was like 15, because I met him when I was 15. We were scoring like 40 points. We were scoring 40 at 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? And I know that anytime I got in trouble with a double or triple team, I throw it to Dave, and the nigga's jumper was wet. You know what I'm saying? And so, as an anchor, I started being with him more in the industry. But I said, like I said, I didn't have a lot of confidence in my ability to be a comic, even though I was always a funny guy. So I had to find another in to get into this motherfucker. So the first time I got paid in the industry, I went with him to a session, and it was Curtis Blow, the record Tough, and I did the background vocals on Tough. It was rough, tough. And then before then, I had did like party tracks on shit, you know, with Kurt and stuff like that, and I hung out with Kurt and them a lot. And Curtis was and is a good friend of mine, and Delaney and all of those people from, you know, back in the day. And, you know, I hung out off and on back then, but it wasn't no more money coming in. So I was working, doing the hospital shit, and, you know, Dave and them. And then when Dave signed with Def Jam, it was the running them had just exploded with Walk This Way.
Sheesh.
And the motherfuckers, I mean, I've never seen nothing like it. You've heard about this shit with the Jackson 5, the Beatles, all that shit. But this was an extension of that because it was a new genre of music. And these motherfuckers, these niggas was red hot. I was around them, like what D said, the crowds around like they found Noah's Ark. I was in situations with them where motherfuckers just like out of nowhere, and it was crazy. I mean, these dudes were stars, legends, right out the gate. And I was there. You understand what I'm saying? Like, a nigga ain't got to tell me. I seen it. Jay, you know what I'm saying? Jay was the most... If you look at the dynamics of the group, you got the two MCs and you got the DJ. You know, and back then, DJs was real vital. The DJ might have been the production guy, like Premier. You had a lot of DJs that were Pete Rock, you know, Dave, Marley Marl, whatever. That these dudes was incredible musicians and production cats. You know, Howie D or Howie T. Excuse me for, you know, if it's not a D or T, you know, but just I love the work, you know, Chubb Rock and all of that shit, and Herbie Lovebug. Those cats, they just scorched the shit up, and the beats and samples. I mean, what can I say? If you was there, you know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yo, you ever knew that white boy named Paul C? The engineer. He
got killed, right? Dude from Rochdale.
Oh yeah.
Rosedale, something like that. Yeah, I didn't know him, but I knew of him. Cause see, there was another studio, Patrick Adams. I forget, that studio was in Astoria, Power something, whatever. But again, you know, from fucking with Dave, I was going to all of the studios. I'd be at the Hit Factory, whatever major studio was in New York City. I've been there. You know what I'm saying, and recorded. Most of the early rap stuff that Russell did came out of Green Street. You know what I'm saying, with Roddy Ho. So I just wanted to mention this too. You had early on in rap a lot of involvement, and you might have seen a black face rapping on the microphone, but you had Sal Abatello, who owned the Fever. You had Roddy Ho, a Chinese dude mixing the breaks and all that shit. You had Eddie Rivera. That motherfucker was doing the timbales and Curtis Blow shit. And then Leor, you know, you had a Jewish dude coming in, and Faith Evans and all of, not Faith Evans, Faith Newman. You know what I'm saying? Faith Evans came in and did a great job too. But I said right now we talking about Faith Newman. And yo, man, I seen shit just like, you know, in the motherfucker got wide like an ocean every time. It's like
Jeez.
the shit started as a stream and then it went to a river and a sea and the motherfucker just like, wow.
You talking about Def Jam?
I'm just talking about
The
the
whole-
music,
the music period.
the culture, you know what I'm saying? Because, see, back then, talent was key. Sound was, you know, that's what separated you. You know, and then style. And then you mixed them all up together. You had people like MC Light, KRS-One, MC Shan, Divine Styler,
Yeah.
Run DMC, Curtis Blow, Houdini, Kango, you know, even New Edition, Candy Girl, all of that. I mean, it was exciting because, see, you got to look at that period too, where, you know, you got this whole soul period that morphed in kind of like a disco thing. And then around the 80s, when everything became computerized, you had a lot of stuff coming out of Europe, like the Tom Tom Club, shit like that was very computerized, and it didn't have any soul. And the music business had really lost its soul around that time. And the stories that these motherfuckers was talking about, Wang Chung, everybody tonight. Great song, but no soul. You understand what I'm saying? It was all synthy and shit like that. And then you had Prince, which again, with the time, Jimmy Jam and Terry, all of that, the music was still very synthy. And then none of these people look like nobody that lived next door to you. These motherfuckers had on makeup, jerry curls.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have known a motherfucker that had a jerry curl, but he wasn't wearing makeup.
Yo, you know what's so funny? That's similar to like the young homies today wearing tight clothes, looking, you know, with the tight pants and, you know, wearing lipstick and fingernail polish and shit.
Well, see, what made rap really appealing to this day, where everybody thinks they got a shot, because the motherfucker that's doing it big looks like somebody that lives right next door to you. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why everybody feels that they got a shot to come in and rap, and that's why that's a real reality with
Yo, that's one of the realest things I ever heard, man.
That's some real shit, and the motherfucker. Once you start having hip hop coming out, you didn't have hip hop tours. They would stick a MC on a Lionel Commodore's tour or Bob Marley tour, but that would be short lived because the MC would come and take the energy out of the crowd, and these dudes didn't like that shit.
So once the Fresh Fresh came, that was it.
The Fresh Fest, and that was Jermaine. What's my man? Who's
Houdini?
Janet?
Jermaine Dupri.
Jermaine Dupri, his pops was doing that, and the Fresh Fest did a lot of big things. But then, you know, rap started stretching out to a point where it was fun, it was political, it was innovative. You know, I never thought it would be the dominant music, not taking nothing away from it, but I just thought that it was good where it was at. It was like a teenage boy in the family that had his own identity, and the motherfucker looked good. You know what I'm saying? And everybody was mad, but everybody still loved the motherfucker. It was like that. And
Wow.
you know, it was a balance of white with the Beastie Boys, Third Base. You had the niggas, the Wicker Rap. And then motherfuckers is off and on popping out of nowhere, and European shit. And they always had a good female. You know, whether it was Roxanne Shante, then what was these girls' names? Sequence, which Angie B was in that group.
Finesse Sequence?
Right. No, not Finesse and Sequence.
Oh,
I'm gonna
Sequence.
rock you right on time.
Wow.
Rock you right on time. Get up, get up, get up. And then you had Blondie. You know what I'm saying? You had a lot of females.
What about Allison? What was she? She was the singer, right?
Allison was still real pivotal though. She did a lot of hooks on a lot of records. Fat boys. You know what I'm saying? She did shit on Curtis's joint, Dave's joint, whatever. Allison is just something totally like, you know. But the shit just started getting big. You know, then you had like record companies coming up, Profile, you know, and then emergence of groups like the what was that group with Andre Harrell, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the schools MDs. These niggas used to rap backwards. We the three MCs. I mean, motherfuckers had gimmicks, but they had talent.
Remember them dudes that did the Inspector Gadget beat
right
from East New York?
Then you had then on the other side of that you had break dancers. You had dudes that was just like dropping it like they was Alvin Ailey dancers. You know what I'm saying? And then they had the DJ. The DJ really blew your mind because he created a whole nother dynamic to the shit with the scratches, because that noise and that vibration, the movement, and combined with the rap, money.
So without that DJ is very instrumental to
without the DJ it meant nothing. Like today. You understand what I'm saying? You just got a motherfucker talking shit. The DJ was like the guitar player or the drummer or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He supplied the break. And the DJ, I mean, look, in UTFO, Mixmaster Ice used to fucking take his shorts off and scratch with his ass. I've seen motherfuckers, you know. So, I mean, for me, coming in, experiencing all of that, I was excited about where I could fit in all of that. You know what I'm saying? So with Dave, I felt like Dave had so much talent that at a certain point that we could set up shop and just do production of people. You know, and he continued to go on and get a label with Jay and, you know, do some more Run DMC albums. And like I said, now he's on the road with PE. So, you know, that shit was gorgeous right there. You know, I had met so many and made so many contacts on the road. You know, when I had went on the Raising Hell tour, that I started doing videos.
So going on tour, fucking with Dave and shit, that shit opened up a whole new world to you, basically. Like,
I've never seen nothing like it. You know, look, this is the deal on how I was kind of introduced into the New York City scene. I'm not saying the industry, but just the scene overall. I was always a fan of radio, TV, Frankie Crocker, all that shit. I just love the hype. I just love that, you know, fly shit. And the clubs, you know, the DJs always used to talk about it. You know, Frankie Crocker used to say, yeah, I seen Curtis Blow at such other night, you know. So, my first time I went to Studio 54 was the Crush Groove after party. Sheila E. and the Fat Boys were performing.
jeez.
And then, like, because when Studio 54 died out, you know what I'm saying? The next thing was the Palladium. And Palladium was some of the owners of Studio 54. You know what I'm saying?
So it was basically the same shit.
Right. And see, with those joints was velvet rope, baby. You wasn't just getting in. They used to have a crowd like Noah's Ark standing outside, and sometimes these people would never get in. So I started doing the club scene. You know, so I made contacts on the tour, and I started doing the club scene, and I would go to a club and get a video.
Wow.
Like, yo, what you doing tomorrow? Blah, blah, blah. I ain't doing nothing. So I did the Davey D. That was my first video. My first video really was supposed to be 2 videos. The Cameo Word Up and Heavy D.
You were supposed to be in Word Up.
Yeah, I was supposed to be in that joint. And that was like Bernard King, DeVar Burton, you know, and just the way that video was shot. To this day, if you look at that video, it looked like a video that could have been shot today. You know, that was a really groundbreaking video. So I started going to parties and shit, and I started seeing motherfuckers like, you know, Kool and the Gang, and because that's when I came in. Those type of people were still around. And Luther, motherfuckers like that, and niggas started getting money, so we started to go to Burt Bedell, picking up a little $10,000, $15,000 every day, fucking around. And, you know, when that dried up, like I said, I started doing videos. And I got really good at it. And I made a niche in the video market where almost that I was a logo for the video. If I wasn't in your video, it wasn't official. And again, money. And this is, you could close up, whatever. I'm not coming from an ego place. I'm just telling you where it's at. You know, my videos, my work has been used as excerpts for domestic violence, documentaries, and my stuff, internet wise or wherever, it still plays today. You know,
Your work, to me, I just want to elaborate, is timeless. Your work is timeless to me because you you've been in videos not only that are, you know, instrumental to the culture, but they're forever, and they're gonna be played forever because of the people who are the artists and the videos that they are.
Meeting a whole lot of motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying, like on the set, because when that party scene started turning around and I got in the mix and started doing videos, now I have my own contact, I have my own cachet, you know what I'm saying, I have my own swag. Motherfuckers knew me not from just being with Dave or doing Curtis Blow shit. Niggas knew me for me.
Yo, so who are the type of people you was bumping into?
I was hanging out with.
How was the party scene like for you?
The party scene was ridiculous. Like Nels, you were going Nels, and Prince might come in there and do a motherfucking set. You know what I'm saying?
Damn,
this shit was ridiculous. And every night, I mean, it was joints where niggas was like top 10 or some back in the day James Brown, fucking Taste the Honey type motherfuckers coming up in your face, niggas that you grew up listening to, you meeting them. I mean, the dynamic of my personality, I seen where I transformed that. Like, you know, when you walk in and you rolling and rocking with these type motherfuckers, the dynamic of your whole personality and your whole, everything changes. You're different. You're no longer the same person.
What you mean as far as like your whole aura just... You just like, yo, I'm walking in the club with whoever. I'm just a bad motherfucker. Like, that's what it...
You're definitely a bad motherfucker, but I'm saying, like, think about it. You a kid that grew up, and you listening to a motherfucker, or you seen him on TV, and now you sitting right next to this motherfucker, and this nigga know you, and you know him.
I know that shit feeling firsthand.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And then I'm turning on the TV and I'm hitting 1 million motherfuckers a day, not with just one clip. And that's just in the motherfucking shit. Now, we ain't talking about worldwide. So now, you know, it's steady. Because you don't want your ego to get away from you. You know what I'm saying? Because you're doing big things right now. And, you know, I'm hanging out with Fab Five Freddy. Freddy's introducing me to Matt Dillon, Tom Cruise's brother, I mean, Blondie, whoever, you know what I'm saying, Madonna. And
Matt Dillon, yo, I'm tripping off of that.
You know, the ill shit about a dude like Freddie, what he taught me was, like, it don't matter who they are, it matters who you are. You know what I'm saying? Freddie was the first nigga to go Hollywood without even leaving New York. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, so I'm learning and I'm being around cats that mastered the downtown scene, and then dudes that's legendary in areas that I had no information about. I mean, Freddie is an encyclopedia on what it is, what it was, and what it's going to be. And his slant, everything is fly, like Blondie said. You know, if you hear niggas saying fly, that's from Freddie. You know, fly was relevant in 72 as it is relevant to this day. You know what I'm saying? And the motherfucker, you know, I hung out with that nigga until he got the Yo Show, and you know, we still see each other, how you doing, but back throughout that time, you know, he lived in Rivington and the Cat's Deli block, and I used to go up there, and me and that motherfucker used to just talk for hours, you know what I'm saying? And he directed me in a video, Philosophy, KRS-One.
Fab did that one?
Yeah, Fab did that. So,
wow.
You know, then I'm hanging out with Eric B. and Rakim. I'm hanging out with Andre Harrell. You know, with the Def Jam whole thing, Russell and them.
This is crazy.
And then, like, Ralph, I know from Video Music Box. I know Ralph from when I first moved out here, because Ralph used to go with my cousin's friend. So I knew Ralph, like, you know, we wasn't deep hangout partners, but when we seen each other, it was always like we stopped for like 20 minutes, half an hour and talk. You know what I'm saying? So when Dave got his deal at Def Jam, Ralph was the dude that do the video. So I did a cameo in that joint, and then Ralph put me in contact with him. I stayed in contact with him, and he had a show, Video Music Box, and I seen the show maybe about 2-3 times. And I liked the little intro piece that they had.
That shit legendary.
Yeah, every time I used to see the intro piece with him and Lionel, I used to be busting nuts, and I told him that. So as I was leaving Dave, you know how they say one door another door opens.
Mm-hmm.
This was like a motherfucking garage door opening. Because I went in there at a time where these dudes was in the putting a nucleus together. They had Sabrina Gray, they had him, they had Cheryl and Tuffy, they had other various people, Hype Williams, motherfuckers like that coming in, and they was putting the shit together. And what they was going to do is they was going to do a dual thing. They was going to do the TV video show, and they was going to do videos. So that was perfect. And then around the time Spike Lee had his thumbprint on a certain cast where he would use certain people for his films.
The Wesley Snipes, the
Wesley Snipes, Denzel, fucking Larry Fishburne,
Ozzie Davis, and them
type people, right? So they wanted to do something similar, and they put me in as like their signature. So I must have did maybe like 18 or 20 videos with Ralph and them within 6 months, and then this was just in their infancy.
What's some of those videos?
Where do I start? MC Light, Paper Thin, Big Daddy Kane, Ain't No Half Step.
Ralph did Paper Thin?
Yeah.
Wow.
What else did we do? We did Wu-Tang Cream, Heavy D, Ain't No Half Step. No, what was that shit? Heavy D, Money Earning Mount Vernon, Chuck Chill Out, Dr. Ill.
I'm Lars, right?
I don't know, man. I did over 30 something videos. You know, I didn't do with Ralph and them. I did Bonita Applebaum. I did X Clan with Ralph and them. The funniest story when I did the X Clan video was because X Clan made the dude soul, rest in peace, Lumumba. His father was Sonny Carson.
Wow.
And Sonny Carson, as you know, if anybody, I'll just give you a background.
That was a bad month.
Black Panther. He did a movie, The Education of Sonny Carson. You can do your homework if I'm a teacher right now and look that motherfucker up and go look at it. And like them dudes was on the set, like Sonny Carson, old school people. These niggas had gray afros and shit like that. So the craft services on a movie set, on a commercial, on a video set is the food, the people that provide the food. These niggas had fish and chips. Most craft services, niggas have lasagnas, soul foods, whatever. These motherfuckers had fish and chips. I'm talking about they kept this shit greasy. I was surprised they ain't had sweet potato pie. And I went and got my little fish and chips, and I says, yo, where the hot sauce? And Sonny Carson came up to me and says, oh, we got a tough guy here. On every video set, I mean, there was some shit like that, you know, where
OG called you a tough. He said you got a tough.
Yeah, I asked for the hot sauce. He says, oh, we got a tough guy here. You know what I'm saying? So those videos back then, the budgets were low, but Ralph and them, they had their pulse on. See, Ralph and them, if you could imagine a producer, right, like a Teddy Riley or Quincy Jones, or think of any great producer any period of time that produced a record for anybody. Quincy Jones is a perfect example. I mean, it was at one time Quincy Jones produced everybody. Michael Jackson, George Benson, you name it, he did it. And you knew it was Quincy Jones, but at the same time, he tailor-made a suit, not tailor-made it, but he tailor-made a suit for that artist. So even though he had his signature in there where you knew it was a Quincy Jones record, but he still gave the artist their room to put their imprint on the record also. You understand what I'm saying?
Jeez.
So that's how Ralph and them was with videos. Like they would have a certain look for BBD. They would have a certain look.
They did BBD?
They did all of those BBD videos. They did Bobby. They did The Time. They did all of the Third Base videos. Every video for every artist that was relevant at that time, they was doing close to maybe 60 videos a year. So they was doing Stevie Wonder. I mean, these motherfuckers was doing everybody. And I had an opportunity to be in on the ground floor of that and did a lot of growing just as a artist and learning how to work in front of the camera and being comfortable and all that. Because you got to remember, man, there's a lot of money on the line when you're doing these videos and these budgets, you know, and these people don't have time to be doing 2-3 takes. And I'm coming in doing a cameo, so my role is really even not that necessary. So I realized that early on. And most of my stuff, because I only did one scene generally in a video. Maybe I might have did two in another one or extended scene. But I would come in and do one take and just get it out of there.
One take, Jake.
Right. And if you look at the duration of my cameo, it might have been 3 seconds, 7 seconds, 10 seconds tops, and I was able to make that 10 seconds relevant enough so when the viewer did see that video, he recognized my contribution.
Yo, what's so crazy? You made that 10 seconds or whatever seconds so relevant that years later it's still timeless to this day. And they use, actually, we gonna get into that, but fuck it, let's get into it now. They used one of those clips in the documentary recently that came out
that
2 years ago.
I'm gonna tell you, any artist, or I guess anybody that does anything, heart surgery, whatever, and you're doing your work at a high clip. You understand what I'm saying? I think you can't really appreciate the moment because the journey is still evolving and it's happening in real time. But when that whole thing is over with and you look back, I think that's when you really appreciate. Because I know with basketball and certain parts of the art, I'm not finished, but I'm saying videos I wouldn't do. I would do, somebody would invite me on to do, and I would have to like the artist, the whole thing. But that kind of when you're working at a high clip like that, you don't really realize what you did until it was over with, and you didn't really appreciate it. Like, I didn't realize how relevant all of my work was until they took that excerpt from Bonita Applebaum and put it in the documentary. I'm gonna tell you how, as close as I could probably describe it to you, it would be the feeling as an artist having its record sampled by an artist. I think that's the closest that I could get as far as illustrating to you how I felt about it. And I felt that particular moment, and it's not coming from an ego place, but this is just how I felt it, that I was just that relevant for that part of music.
Like this logo behind you, the Wu-Tang logo, every time they show that video Cream, it's like they show that clip with you in it.
Yeah, like I said, again, 10 seconds, whatever it is, you just got to go in there and fill it up, and you don't have a lot of time, and sometimes you got to improvise, and sometimes you got something already that you want to try out. But Wu-Tang, again, was very challenging. I had to speak to Raekwon. He gave me a version of because this was a biography. This is not something that they just wrote in the record. This was his father was that guy that I played, and I had to speak with him, and then I had to speak with Ralph, and then I had to go to the side for 5 minutes and wonder what I was going to do with both of their renditions and still have room for what I wanted to do. Another, like I told you, there's a story for every video. That video, I had the stylist put some shit in my hair. And my shit fell out.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So that's why you rocking this baldy right now?
No, nah. I had rocked a short haircut.
Okay.
Since we talking about haircuts, I want to just say this, because I did mention before that I did the trend thing as far as the shades. That was me, but that's not where that just ended. A lot of coin phrases was mine. What do you know? You're right. It's just countless phrases. Really? Wow. All that shit is me. But the haircuts, I had the afro. I was John Shaft. Rakim named me that. My afro was tighter than a baby's ass. You couldn't see a loose hair on that motherfucker. I used to get shaped up every week. Nigga, I used to have to be at the barber at 6 in the morning and stand outside, and nigga didn't come in until 9 o'clock. Because if I got there late, I'd be sitting in the motherfucker all day. Then my hair, that bitch put that shit in my hair, and I lost the afro. So then I started rocking, and I really understand the Samson losing his hair and feeling like he power, because when I didn't have my hair, I felt like I was on fucking Mars.
Felt lost?
I didn't feel balanced, man. I felt like somebody cut my balls off.
Yo, did the Afros get their logo from you?
I would say so. Because
Come to think about it,
well, look, let me just break it down to you like this. Back then, motherfuckers was wearing fades, 3 parts in their hair, writing Adidas in the back of their head. I was the only person wearing an afro. And in fact, what I did was that flipped and everybody else started wearing afros. Girls started wearing big afros.
I remember niggas started wearing blowouts too with their sideburns and all that.
Like a funky, and a lot of groups, the brand new heavies, all of that started adapting that kind of 70s vibe.
The blowout. They started calling it a blowout.
Yeah. I didn't have a blowout though. My shit was straight natural.
Straight natural.
Yeah, John.
The niggas had to shape up shit and all that.
My shit was dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. You know the song though. And then from there, when my hair grew back, I had like this nappy headed thing. It was real big. You see people wearing a nappy, it looked like you're trying to go dread, but it's just nap. I did that too with the beeswax. So I bought a lot of things in, and again, because I had that forum with the Video Music Box and
you had
videos.
Like Def Jam too, like that whole crew.
Def Jam, because at the time, Bad Boy was an extension of Def Jam, but Bad Boy, their introduction to like hello, I'm Bad Boy was more. Def Jam created legends. Bad Boy created a movement. You see what I'm saying? The difference between those generations of music is that the Russell Simmons Def Jam era, it was a lot of voices and a lot of content to what the people wanted to talk about, from Public Enemy to Fight the Power to LL I Need Love to EPMD to Please Listen to My Demo. And then on the backdrop of that, you had groups like Gang Starr, KRS-One, because the big boys were kind of fading out, like Grandmaster Flash and all of that. They were doing like more talk. Because Grandmaster Flash to me were like the Temptations of hip hop. You
ever heard of Grandmaster Flowers and them from Brooklyn?
DJ Flowers.
Yeah.
Right, Maboya, all of that. Those were early DJs again in hip hop, like Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? Cool Herc. Those dudes came up around that time. It wasn't. See, Sugar Hill Gang, the Rapper's Delight, sounded like a Harlem World show. Everybody say hotel, motel, what you gonna do today? Say what? Gonna get a fly girl, ride off in the Def OJ. OJ was a cab. But like in case motherfuckers don't know that, it was a cab service that had nothing but Lincoln Continentals. So that's why you got a fly girl and you're in the Lincoln and you driving off in the Def OJ. You know what I'm saying? So that sounded like a Harlem record, even though them dudes was from Jersey, but it sounded like there was niggas from like 145th Street or 119th Street or 115th Street. So when Grandmaster Flash and them did The Message, see, The Message was a big record. Like The Message was like one of the first crossover records in hip hop. Like when The Message came out, soon as that beat dropped, you knew you had to be on your best behavior and listen to every motherfucking word. Broken glass everywhere. People pissing on the streets and they just don't care. Can't afford to move out. I mean, this nigga was telling the story of a lot of people's lives. Back then and today. That shit is still relevant. You know what I'm saying? Stabbed that man right in his heart. Gave him a transplant for a brand new start. So
got my hand on my gun because it got me on the run.
Yeah. It's like a jungle. Sometimes it make me wonder how I keep from going under. So the motherfucker records like that started coming out, and you started seeing, man, the relevance. I mean, the motherfuckers was having a Saturday night where they was playing hip hop. Then you had WBIB with Mr. Magic. I don't know if BIB, BIC, whatever. The motherfuckers was playing the shit. College stations like Columbia University. You had NYU with Livy OG. And it was getting stirred up, and the motherfucker was sounding good. Let me tell you, and niggas was having parties. Motherfuckers was getting money, but they wasn't getting large bread. It was only like one nigga. Russell was getting the money. Then later on, Andre Harrell, Teddy Riley.
How he wound up getting all the money without getting into too much detail?
I don't know. You got to ask him that. You know what I'm saying? I'm still trying
That's
to
a
find
good
out
answer.
the money. But, you know, Russell, Dr. J, Michael Jordan, Maya Angelou, Oprah Winfrey,
Mhm.
these people don't come around twice in a lifetime. He's somebody that came along that's here. That's a very special property as far as American. He's a true American. Russell doesn't look at things as far as race. Russell
Right.
looks at things as far as people. He does things on a humanitarian level as far as connecting a dot. And he realized early on that rap wouldn't have been sustainable if he had just wanted to be black. You know, Run DMC, for instance, Joey's his brother, they were like a rock rap group. So they were able to reach a white audience where probably they wouldn't have gotten that attention if they was just doing, you know, holding my dick and that kind of shit. You know,
Right.
I mean, there's groups that did that, and later on, when rap evolved, that, you know, the white audience, but early in them days, them motherfuckers wasn't checking for it like that. And then you had Houdini, was like a R&B rap, you know, and they made records better than some of the R&B groups, you know, legendary R&B groups. They made some good music with Larry Smith.
I was about to say, so Larry Smith, man, God bless him right now, you know.
Larry's my man. Let me tell you about Larry. And Jalil said this in an interview. You knew Larry had a hit when he grabbed his dick and he held his mouth. And the motherfucker used to call me from London when they was doing them records, and I know he was holding his dick because he would be dropping the phone. So
This guy, man.
you see the type of people. I'm going up to record companies now. I'm in videos. I'm meeting motherfuckers. But I'm hanging out with niggas. I still don't got the swimming pool and the $1 million check. But I'm looking at myself and saying it's my fault because my strength, I'm not even trying to pick that up, which is a stand-up comedy, you know, and that's why I'm returning back to the industry now to do that. And I'll tell you why this particular time is right. But I always viewed it as having a brand new Maserati in a garage, and I never drove it. You know what I'm saying? So you can't imagine the kind of pain that I had throughout the years, and especially seeing comics come up that I thought that was mediocre at best. I just didn't have the, I wouldn't say will, but the wherewithal to just put something together and stand on it, whether it failed or succeeded, and accepted it for what it was and tried to make it better. I just always felt that I had to come out strong.
Out the
Else I
gate.
couldn't come out at all. And that's a factor that I got from my mother. Because when I was a kid, like maybe for the first 10 years, I thought my name was stupid. John Davis was what they called me at school, but you stupid motherfucker. And my mom's was like today, my mom's would be in jail, bless her soul. But I mean, the motherfucker was throwing refrigerator. I was ducking stoves. I mean, bed frames, fucking irons. This motherfucker. I mean, she could have been the Hulk. I don't know. My mom's could have been really the Hulk and fucking told me she worked someplace else because where she got the strength from, and nothing was ever enough. You know, I'm not downing her because that's what her orientation was. So she raised me the best that she could, and I love her for that. But if I would do a video and tell her, yeah, she would say, okay, so what? So what's next? You know, so I would never get a chance to really enjoy anything. You know, so with the comedy, especially, you're not hiding behind anything. And the kind of comedy I do is very honest and self-explanatory, talking about, you know, real shit in my life. You know what I'm saying? And I just didn't feel comfortable in the 80s, the 90s, and even early millennium to want to share that kind of pain or joy or whatever with people, you know. But now I'm ready because I feel like I've been through enough and my experiences are rich, and that this is the time. You know when it's time. You know when the rubber hits the road, it's time to move around, and that's what I'm doing right now. But I mean, my body of work and my resume is solid and it's strong, and it goes from commercial to TV to video to stage, and it's worldwide. It's international. Um, I'm a very unique individual with a very unique gift, and you ain't seen nothing yet. You know, um, it's just a lot of things that are available for me right now. I don't want to list them because I want it to be kind of like a surprise, and I don't.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you what you got working on and things like that.
As I mentioned earlier, I'm a multi-talented or facet artist. Where I do a variety of things, and the main thing I want to do now is really dual. Is a stand-up comedy, and I'm working on a documentary, which is a biography of my life, and I want that to be festival ready within the next maybe 6 to 8 weeks from the filming and the airing of what we're doing right now. If that's not realistic, it'll be before the first of the year. It'll be out, and I'll probably split that up in either in a webisode format or just have it in the full thing as a short. And just stand-up comedy. I got a lot that I really want to talk about, and I want to just do a different spin on comedy. I think there's some things that I want to do that hasn't been done before, and it'll still see. This is how I approach art, and that's why getting back to a statement that you said, my work is timeless, is because when I go into anything, I don't want to go into it as just doing my thing and leaving, and the industry is still as it was. I want to go in and the shit don't be the same when I leave out. I don't want to make a mark. I want to make a dent. And I've been able to do that. Nobody's ever been able to duplicate what I've done in videos. Ever. Nobody. I mean, Puffy was doing videos. Red Alert was doing videos. But I did stuff, and not to take anything away from what those guys were doing, but I did stuff that was substantive, and it was for the right time, and it were all hits. And again, I'm not saying that them dudes wasn't doing hits, but I was on TV hitting 1 million motherfuckers every day, hard, not just with one clip neither. And that I'm giving you a general area. That's 1 million, and worldwide I might have been doing 5 million.
Wow.
So
that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, my work speaks for itself. I'm not the most social person. I'm not the guy that I have friends, of course, that I know in the industry, but I'm really, really aloof, eccentric, and very private. So I do what I do, and I go back into the matrix. I don't give a fuck. That's what it is.